Welcome to SandCity Sports. I am your host, the Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King, and we're back again to bring you all the sports and current events news stories that you need to know. Folks, the NFL season is underway, and here in Massachusetts, in the region of New England, we certainly do have a good thing going on. Of course, I'm talking about the Patriots' 33-3 absolute shellacking of the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. And for all intents and purposes, this is the epicenter of the sports universe today. Plenty of storylines to get to, and we're going to touch base on all of them. Quite a bit going on in the world of athletic competition. Always quite a bit going on in the world in general. Obviously, spinning around the sun at however many miles per hour. But it can't be understated what the sentiment is here in the Commonwealth and frankly nationally. As people are still trying to comprehend just how good this Patriots team can be. So, sometimes you can't, when the final score is 33-3, it speaks for itself. Sometimes when you have a blowout situation, one team in garbage time, will score, some points here, and the final score might not necessarily reflect how lopsided the game was, but that's not the case in this scenario. Okay, so the Patriots, Mike Tyson knockout, Pittsburgh Steelers. It's almost, you don't even know where to start. I'm just going to start, frankly, with the victors. To the victor goes to spoils. The Patriots this year, they're just lights out talented. They're missing some players on offense. They're missing some players on defense. Van Noy, wife going into labor. Obviously, that trumps, a ball game, so he wasn't there. He's a big part of the defense. Not quite sure name, but Thomas on offense. Get that up for you. How to pronounce the first name, right now, at the time being, eludes me. So they were missing him, and obviously the earthquake that took place on Saturday with the Patriots acquiring Antonio Brown, also missing him to boot. Nonetheless, in all phases, through all quarters, from start to finish, the Patriots looked outstanding. First game of the year, throw that out the window, kick it to the curb. They basically, made the Pittsburgh Steelers look like a college team, maybe even a very good high school team. This game was non-competitive for the majority of the affair, and you run out of things to say about a dynasty. You sometimes can't comprehend the scope of an empire, and that's what the New England Patriots are. We can get into definitely another segment how this came to be. There was no football tradition to speak of in Boston and in New England. Frankly, before Bill Belichick showed up, we can go to that Super Bowl where, again, the Patriots found themselves on the other side of this equation, on the other side of this coin when they met up against the Chicago Bears in the 1985 Super Bowl, okay? We don't want to necessarily think about that, what it's like to be the conquered instead of the conquering. But since Belichick has, arrived in town, and you have to give Mr. Kraft a tremendous amount of credit because, this is, again, dating myself and the history teacher in me, it looked like when Belichick was making his decision where to go after he left Cleveland, he was probably going to decide or side with the New York Jets, who were being run by, his former head coach and good friend, Bill Parcells, but he didn't decide to sign on with the Jets. He decided to sign on with the New England Patriots, and here we are today. We discussed this on the show previously. I got to get back to it in terms of you get better at playing football by playing football. And the Patriots, top to bottom, because that's how you're going to do things if you're going to come here, play for the team. You're going to toe the line. You're going to follow instructions. Where am I going with this? The Patriots take the preseason seriously, okay? And a lot of, just one of the innumerable narratives today in terms of, whole playbook was open. You had basically a flea flicker type of a play, where Brady throws it to Edelman. Edelman throws it back to, I believe that was James White. They pick up 25, 30 yards on that. But they were firing on all cylinders in week one. And for me, among other things, that comes back to the fact that they take the preseason very seriously. Guys play, they get those reps in, and that's one part of why people, frankly, today are talking about an undefeated season. And it's not that far out of the realm of possibility, particularly when you look at the Patriots' early season schedule, which we'll get up there for you. It's quite easy. Obviously, they're going to play some very talented teams, but, the Patriots, without Antonio Brown, may have been the most talented team. Now, scratch that. Can't say that. Kansas City, offensively does have, more weapons. But with Antonio Brown, they can go, man for man, player for player, with the Kansas City Chiefs in terms of overall firepower, and we go from there. Defensively, this Patriots team, obviously Bill Belichick, defensive genius, going back, again, to his time with the Big Tuna, with the New York Giants, him having a major role to play in their 1986 championship, and also their 1990 or 91 championship. Yes, Scott Norwood didn't miss that field goal, but listen, that's why we play the games. If it's and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, So Belichick, major contributor in 2 Super Bowl victories before he came to New England, and now he has, of course, 6 under his belt at the helm. This defense, he's got some playmakers. Obviously, schematic, he knows how to put things in order, but, the talk was going into this season that, he's got some talented players to work with, and we saw that. The Pittsburgh Steelers only scoring 3 points. It's pathetic. It's shameful. It's saddening. It's infuriating. And part of that is obviously, their responsibility, but a good part of that does fall with the Patriots. And we're just going to jump right into, since we're on the topic, this Antonio Brown bombshell. I said on the record, called in EEI. They were gracious enough to take my call on Thursday, when he was going through what he was going through with the Raiders, that he had to go from that situation. And my contention at that point in time, now, it seems rather foolhardy, was I didn't know if another team would take a chance on Antonio Brown because, he seems to be the big brother of Terrell Owens, and Skip Bayless, made it very clear years ago what Terrell Owens' initials stand for. They stand for Team Obliterator. Antonio Brown's antics leading up to this season dwarf what Terrell Owens, in my view, overshadow, tower. I'm not that tall of a guy, so a lot of times, folks are, I'm a basketball player. That's, my passion, but I'm out there, Spud Webb height. And you play a competitive game, you got these guys 6'8", 6'9", and, looks like, freshman year of high school, and I'm walking around with seniors and, the college kids. But, again, that is my view in terms of, maybe it's a little bit of overstatement, because Terrell Owens, he was wild, and he certainly caused quite a bit of disruptions, on the field, off the field. Scoring the touchdown and running all the way to the star, and when he was in San Francisco, then he was in Dallas, battling with Tony Romo. There might have been, and there probably was blame on both sides, but it just seemed wherever Terrell Owens went, Eagles, again, Dallas, San Fran, these same issues were coming up and these same disruptions were occurring, which derailed a team's chances and prospects for success. And so that was a huge factor in his legacy, possibly contributed to him not being a first ballot Hall of Fame candidate selection. And he didn't go to Canton. When he did get into the Hall of Fame, decided to have his own ceremony at his college, to the very end, being that radical individual. Antonio Brown, cut from the same cloth. But in my view, this is a more pronounced case. I don't believe that Antonio Brown is the equivalent of Randy Moss with social media. It's unreal how this story shifted on Saturday when the Raiders were intimating possibly going to get, because it just kept going back and forth. He wanted to be there. He had a teary-eyed meeting, with team leaders, and they were supporting him after, he threatened to hook off on the general manager, stormed out of the facility, basically banned from this facility. Then the next thing we hear is, he comes back and he's apologetic and, he wants to make it work. Fast forward, 8, 10, 12 hours, goes on social media, says he wants out, can't stand the Raiders, doesn't want to be there. Maybe before this happened, maybe after this happened, John Gruden says we expect him to be on the field tonight, Monday night. I'm looking forward to that game 2 of a Monday night doubleheader. I had to miss the first game with going on right now with Drew Brees is my quarterback, so the Saints, the Titans battling right now, and I believe it's the Raiders and the Chargers. Not the Chargers, because they played yesterday. We'll get that up for you on the screen. But the Raiders are going to battle second game. But John Gruden said, we expect him to be out there. So you're kind of, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And then, Saturday, Raiders, boom, got to go release him. Which, many people, myself included, said they had to do. If he plays week 1, then boom, that's $15 million guaranteed. He's going to get his money. And everything that he's done, essentially, since we started gearing up for the season. Now, when he signed with the team, and all the photo ops and hanging out, that was all good and well. That was definitely, the couple leaving the wedding and going directly to the honeymoon, and everything is honky-dory, and sky's the limit, so on and forth. Let me just get organized over here. But as we've geared up for football season, whether it be the cryotherapy, mistreatment, whether it be the helmet issue, whether it be battling with coaches, management, it's all been atrocious. And so, looking at it, if you're, from the outside, obviously, hindsight, in 2020, we like to say that, even though we're kind of in the midst of this story, that doesn't necessarily apply. But something that I always go to is, Teddy Roosevelt, one of his, great quotes, is about, it's not the critic who counts. Not the man who points out, where the strong man stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have been better. The credit goes to the man in the arena. All right, so we all had our opinions about what the Raiders should do, but, they're ground zero, so, it's up to them. But at the end of the day, they said, Antonio Brown, you got to go. And many people, myself included, thought, absolutely right. Now, the Patriots had been rumored, and that was but there was not, Ordway on EEI was adamant about it. There was rumblings, because of the number of reclamation projects the Patriots have taken part in. Right now, Josh Gordon, front of that list. People can go back to Corey Dillon, that worked out. Albert Hainsworth, that didn't work out. Chetan Ochocinco, that didn't work out. So it's been hit and miss with these, and you can throw Randy Moss in there definitely needs to be in there because Randy, is rough around the edges. But it's been back and forth. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Antonio Brown, he seems to be a heightened version of, these type of players. And so many people, myself included, said absolutely not. Well, again, in the arena where Bill is, he had a different vantage point, and so the decision was made to bring Antonio Brown in. This is Saturday afternoon. I believe I was watching an outstanding U.S. Open women's final. Serena Williams and Brittany, might get her first name wrong, Andreescu from Canada. So I'm watching that, some college football, and then I see it on the ticker on ESPN that Antonio Brown signs the Patriot. I had to go to Twitter because is this for real? And frankly, as the story was breaking, a lot of people, respected journalists and people in sports, were saying the same thing. Is this for real? Because it was, the shift was frankly remarkable, and equally remarkable in this storyline is how people's perception, particularly here in New England, of Antonio Brown has changed night and day, summer and winter, freezing and 85, with 90% humidity, on who Antonio Brown is and what his capabilities are on a football field now that he is in New England. It's just shifted. The pendulum has absolutely shifted, and here in just the overwhelming narrative, people, again, undefeated season, and all, look at this wide receiver core. And this is not just, our friends on social media, whoever you happen to be friends with on Facebook and Instagram, This is, you go on Twitter and you talk about the, authoritative, community in sports, all these leading anchors and commentators and columnists and writers, and, the majority of people, at least, a preponderance, 51%, believe that Bill Belichick, New England Patriots, they have, the ability, this, frankly, almost supernatural ability to get through to even the most difficult of people and players and turn them into Pro Bowlers, Hall of Famers, the whole 9 yards. Again, your boy, Cape Cod kid, can't do it. And that's, the hometown people, you get angry, you get upset, whatever needs to be done, I love it. Rant, Rave, you get at, you come at, I appreciate all that. But I'm not changing course on who I feel Antonio Brown is as a football player. I don't know the man, but in terms of as a football player, I'm not, I think, he self-centered, disrespectful to, the coaching staff, indifferent to organizational objectives, beyond, his own agenda, and, that's how he's going to operate if everything is going in his way and he is in a situation that benefits himself 100%, then he will be on his best behavior and he'll be productive and professional. But as soon as that ceases to be the case, and my view of Antonio Brown is it's all or nothing with him. I think it has to be all his way. I don't think he believes in a 50-50 or 60-40, 70-30, 80. No, it needs to be 100% AB. I need all of my imperatives, to be addressed first. And then we can start, talking about anything else. And that's, he seems to believe that he's on a level or deserves to be treated like LeBron James is treated in the NBA. When you're talking about LeBron James in the NBA, that's the way it works. Whether he's in Cleveland, whether he's in Miami, whether he's in Los Angeles. If he's on the team and he makes the decision to take his talents to your organization, well, your organization will, no question about it, be operating and functioning through his agenda. Or he's not going to provide his labor power, in a way that's going to allow your organization to be successful, period. It's worked. He's obviously won 3 championships, and it hasn't worked. And the Lakers did miss the playoffs last year. But that circumstance, that scenario is understood for everybody in the NBA community. And this is the way I feel that Antonio Brown sees himself and how he is to be addressed. And I just can't think of any. I don't know of any NFL team. Never mind the Patriots, who are at the top of the list in terms of their military zeal, related to their philosophy, their way of doing things, the Patriot way. This would be the last place, that I would see somebody with that MO thriving. But nonetheless, here we are. Josh Gordon's press conference yesterday was superb. Josh Gordon's performance on the field yesterday, equally, if I can use the same adjective, superb. He balled out. You saw Flash Gordon, who he was known to be. You saw the talent from, I can't even remember how many years, I guess it was 2014, might have been 2013, when he was last on the field and doing what he does and just being dominant. That's what we saw within the team concept from him yesterday, and it was starting. Because again, take my shirt, we're doing okay sometimes, and Mike, bring it down, we get it right, and we keeps it moving. Josh Gordon balled out when he was on the field last year with the Patriots, but he didn't finish the season with the Patriots. Because the continual violations of the league's banned substances policy. He served his punishment. He came back, and now he's doing what he. So you have to respect someone who makes a mistake, takes the hits for that mistake, comes back and continues to handle business, and get the job done under the brightest lights. And that's what Josh Gordon did yesterday. And so very proud of that. And what he talked about in the press conference was, he really, he's more quiet, doesn't really say as much, he's on the other end of the spectrum from Antonio Brown, but he talked a little bit about what it was like coming to the Patriots, when he started off, and then, the continuation of the process. Where am I going with this? He said it was culture shock. Culture shock. He's looking around and, seeing how other people, are able to deal with the high expectations, the demands, the consistency that's mandated, and he just arrived at the conclusion that, you can either, get in line, with this, it's elevated. We're talking, and the 6 Super Bowls speaks to that, but, a lot of people respect the Navy SEALs. Most of us don't want to do what it takes to be a Navy SEAL. Okay? And so Josh Gordon had to go through that crisis of conscience, if you will, and arrived at the conclusion that, this was what he was going to do. He was going to make the sacrifices, and you can see the results of those sacrifices. He's turned back the hands of time and is playing at the same level or very close to it, that he was, when he set the league ablaze. And he said, Antonio, this is the by all, this is what Antonio Brown is going to have to do. He's going to have to walk the line like everybody else. And it's incredibly fascinating because in the world of sports, there is no one less likely to be able to do that. And I'm interested, than Antonio Brown. This is what we were all saying on Saturday morning going into the afternoon. And now that he's become a Patriot, we're certainly hopeful about what it could be. But the reality is that he's going to have to, if you go to West Point, the long gray line, He's going to have to get in that long gray line and do, again, on West Point, what the cadets need to do, in order, to advance in the military and, possibly one day, be a 4-star general. But that's the process. That's the long road. Again, it's not personal. You hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But I just, I didn't think it was going to work out. I don't think it will work out. And it's one of these interesting risks. Yes, it keeps him off other teams. They don't have that asset. But the Patriots are now running the risk of getting this, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Ferrari, whatever powerful vehicle you want to reference. Getting that vehicle moving on all cylinders, looking absolutely invincible, and then AB, reverts back to his previous behavior. And then what do you do with that? Does it, now cause that incredible engine to stall, to stop? Does it throw things out of balance, at a point in time in the season, where, you need to be all moving in the right direction? That is the great risk. If Belichick can get through to him like he did with Randy Moss, then we know the results. If he cannot, and I'm just going to segue right over and we'll jump back to the NFL. We got to stay here in Titletown. Frankly, disappointing is the word I'm going to use, that the Red Sox fired Dave Dombrowski. Disappointing. This season has been an incredible disappointment in a number of ways. But how quickly we forget about the all-time greatness that was achieved just a year ago. Under Dave Dombrowski's leadership, with the pieces, the Alex Coras, the J.D. Martinezes, on and on and on, that he put in place. And, it's incredible. Again, baseball people, you understand more, so on and forth, so cross-examine this argument as much as needs to be. But from a sports fan's perspective, and again, I follow sports, it might not be, but in 13, when they weren't supposed to win the World Series, they won the World Series, yeah, I was around for that. 07, around for that too. 04, I was in New York, can't say I was rooting for, the Red Sox, because I'm from the great state of New Jersey, and the Mets are my team, but they got the job done then as well. Okay, it's a great thing. But to boot the architect of a World Series, an all-time great championship, a year after, not even a year after said championship, even though it has been incredibly difficult, and now to be talking about getting rid of former MVP Mookie Betts and perennial all-star J.D. Martinez, no good as far as I'm concerned. This is exactly the same, frankly, as when the Red Sox some years ago gave Theo Epstein the boot. I think it was between the 04 and 07 championships, because there was, contentions and, battling back and forth. And so Theo left and his assistant came in, for a year, see if he could fill those shoes. Next year, they brought Theo back. They mended that fence, okay? And we got a couple more World Series championships with him before he brought a World Series championship to the Chicago Cubs. So that's my view on this. I hope, the Red Sox will recognize the error of their ways, because I think this is a major error. And keep the players that they have and restore the management that they've had, and continue to build and grow from within, instead of blowing it up and believing. Dombrowski, Frank, I was thrilled when they brought him in. He built championship quality teams in Detroit. The Verlanders, the Miggy Cabreras. He had some loaded teams there. Okay, and then he brought another loaded team to Boston and you got yourself a World Series, and they don't come around. They don't come around often. Check my time. Lot gone in on this segment. I don't mind it. Okay, hopefully Mr. Dombrowski, he's going to find success somewhere else, and I just hope that it's back in Boston. Baseball people, chime in and let me know on this. The NFL was lights out yesterday. Absolutely lights out in terms of our storylines. We got the 10-15 minutes. We're gonna hit them all. Gonna hit all of those. But I just want to conclude with the Patriots. This is front page, okay, leading news for the rest of the football season. Period. You want to talk. I talked a lot about the Dallas Cowboys and how they don't win very much, and we're gonna get to them because that's changed. But they're very profitable because of how the franchise is marketed, so on and forth. As I understand, Tom Brady in his 40s remains the most marketable player in the NFL. Okay, so this Antonio Brown signing, and just in terms of business and dollars, okay, is going to be a windfall profit for Robert Kraft and the Patriots. And then the additional question of whether it's going to actually work on the field, it's going to be the gift that keeps on giving for the entire football season. And the Cape Cod kid, is thrilled about that, as well as we all should be here in New England. We got that spotlight is going to be here, and we want to make the best of it for the entirety. Once again, heavy weighs the crown on the head of the king. So the Patriots are going to have to deal with those great expectations. NFL was lights out. We just had, again, families are always rising and falling in America. The Departed, referencing quote as much as I need to, because it's an outstanding movie by an outstanding cast and director. Speaking of which, we're looking forward to very much The Irishman, directed by Mr. Martin Scorsese, starring Mr. Robert De Niro and Mr. Al Pacino. That's going to be coming out in theaters November 1st, coming to Netflix around Thanksgiving. We were hoping it was going to be coming out sooner, but I have no problem referencing greatness and including greatness as much as it needs to be done. Also on that point, Vince Gilligan, the Breaking Bad movie coming out October 11th on Netflix. That's going to tide us over. Okay, another great director, great writer, visionary, until we get to The Irishman, in November. Okay, but families are always rising and falling in America, and we saw that on display in Miami. Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens, demolished Miami Dolphins. Kind of hurts, because they got a coach, he's a former New England guy. We want him to do well, but the Baltimore Ravens star appears to be rising. You can talk about, it's just against Miami and the Dolphins, and they're quote-unquote tanking, and now a handful of players are contact their agents. They want out. Okay, good and well, great storylines. Some of that may or may not be true. We'll dig into that. Okay, but Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Okay, we're focusing on what's going on the gridiron. What's going on, and you're either getting it done or you're not getting it done. Okay, and that's the bottom line. And what Lamar Jackson did, as he said, not bad for a running back, was tremendous. Okay, and on the other side of that equation, Josh Rosen throwing an interception on his very first drive with his new team. Okay, and the absolute rout. Miami at home, allowing themselves to be embarrassed in that fashion, to be not, for the team to be non-competitive. That ship needs to be righted. It's not just that you lose, it's how you lose, to me. If you're going down swinging, and this is what I'm really looking forward to with our Celtics team coming up this year, we got a blue-collar group. You're going to take some hits. It's how you take those hits that makes a difference. Scott Brooks, back when he was at Oklahoma City, when they were building up that franchise with a young Westbrook, a young Durant, he said, we're not losing, we're learning how to win. Okay, and the Miami Dolphins did not lose, in the fashion that they needed to. They need to get that in order. Speaking of which, the Cleveland Browns, hurts my doggone heart. Hurts my heart. Okay, my man, good friend of mine, Liam Garrity, Jay Polish, he came out firmly, in favor of the Tennessee Titans. I thought the man was crazy, frankly. Cleveland, all this talent, all this, chip on their shoulder, something to prove. I was like, this is their time to shine. Okay, at home as well. I believe they lost 43-13. I think Mayfield threw 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter. Unacceptable. Okay, so for the Tennessee Titans, losing their offensive coordinator who's now in Green Bay, who had himself a rough opening night against a very good Bears defense nonetheless, but still, you still have Aaron Rodgers. That was a very rough game, so he has his work to do. But the Titans lost, a valuable component for all intents and purposes, and didn't miss a beat. Okay, Mariota, Henry, I just saw the highlights, so on and forth, but this was stunning to me again, and a lot of people, because, looking at and so now the Browns as well are on that hottest of hot seat. Number teams after week 1 are immediately on the hot seat. Immediately. Okay, Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, no doubt about it. Got Seattle coming into town week 2. It's not going to be an easy game. They're looking at starting off 0-2 a year after they missed the playoffs. Rooney's class organization. They give coaches as much leeway as they can, but folks, the NFL is going in a direction right now. If you just want to hang on to a coach, and that's gonna be great, but don't expect success. So if it doesn't work out this year for Mike Tomlin, they missed the playoffs, and he doesn't seem to be able to get it done with his own guys. You got to go, frankly, because what we're seeing in this NFL, new coaches coming in, and I have to reference what Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray did last night, also battling for a 27-27 tie. They could have won the game. They had a chance. Guy, could have intercepted the pass towards the end of overtime. With the NFL rules now, we only play so much football. So if you don't get it done in overtime, it's going to end up as a tie. We disagree with that. Okay, we don't need ties. They don't need ties in hockey. You don't need ties in football. Okay, so they need to come back and get that right. They messed up on that. Okay, just make it sudden death and just keep playing. Somebody's going to take a field goal. You don't have to worry about the catastrophic this, that, and third. Just get close enough and just have a field goal contest. Game will be over. You won't elapse that additional 15 minutes. Straighten that out. But nonetheless, Kyler Murray driving them down to score the game-tying touchdown and the 2-point conversion. Cliff Kingsbury, we discussed it. People mad, didn't think he deserved the opportunity. These college coaches getting love, so on and forth. He shut them up, as far as I'm concerned. And Kyler Murray shut a whole bunch of people up, going out there right into the fire. Game 1, terrible offensive line, team that's not really structured to allow him to be successful, and he found some success. Okay, so tip my hat to both those guys. Keep that going. Folks, that's going to do it. Go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe as you feel the need. I am your host, Cape Cod Kid, artist formerly known as Andre King. Certainly want to thank you for tuning in to SandCity Sports. We appreciate the love, support, all that good stuff, and we will see you here again next time.
Yes, we piece of souls do sedate ourselves. Just a number of this pain we feel. Yes, at times we do hate ourselves, but each day we try to retake ourselves. So yes, we piece of souls do sedate ourselves. Just a number of this pain we feel. Yes, at times we do hate ourselves, but each day we try to embrace ourselves. Yeah.